Ann Coulter joins me now, good friend of the program, syndicated columnist, best-selling author of In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome, and Resistance is Futile. And this column you've written, do you mind if I jump right into the middle of it? Because this film on Netflix called Cuties, video on Netflix, is disgusting and is disturbing, and I'll admit, most of the time I have to say I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet because I don't want to see it. I know what's in it. I know it's been described, you described in a very pungent way, but it sexualizes 11-year-old girls, as you said, writhing on the floor in wet panties, trying to get their relatives to have sex with them. I mean, this is disgusting stuff. It's a product of Netflix. It's a perfect thing for Trump to go after. And you make a very good point. This is one of the things he could go after that would do him a lot more good than talking to Bob Woodward again.
Yes, I noticed you skipped through the advice I have for the commander-in-chief that's a little testy with him. I've six or seven excellent ideas, easy ideas that Trump could implement before the election that would definitely help his chances of re-election. The cuties thing, what I love about this is, I mean, we've all just gone through all of 2020 with liberals screaming bloody murder about Confederate statues of Christopher Columbus, school names, building names. David Hume, the name of David Hume was taken off a building, I think, at a college in England this week. I mean, it's just preposterous, the hysteria and, oh, you're oppressing black bodies. Words are violent. So after being completely hysterical about statues and so on that have been around for 100 years, now liberals have reverted to their, sophisticated boredom. Oh, these conservatives, they're so obsessed, freaked out by a movie. Wow, where were you laid-back guys when we were talking about the Confederate statues? Could we get a little more of that too cool for school attitude?
Well, you're right. And by the way, this one has the added benefit that the corporation Netflix, and I'll admit I'm a subscriber, but I'm not going to be watching Cuties. It just sounds disgusting. But this is tied to the Obamas, who got a $50 million paycheck out of the deal. And while Michelle Obama famously said silence is violence when it comes to, assaults on women, and I would think that would apply doubly to women who are children, that all of a sudden Michelle Obama is amazingly silent about the company that put $50 million in the Obama's bank account.
Yes. I mean, I think at this point you could have just raw sex live on TV, and you'd have New Yorker articles. Oh, these conservative blue noses! They don't see the art behind this. No, it's just such a striking change from their hysteria over words and statues. And I mean, say the word white nationalist to a liberal, they'll jump out a window. They have these boogeyman terms for anyone they don't like white nationalists. It's like calling someone a witch. I read an article, not involving me, involving people I know this week. It's all about who might have had dinner with whom, and just promiscuous use of the phrase white nationalists. Well, at least the people I know in the story definitely do not call themselves white nationalists. So where does the author get this? It's just a devil term. But these are the freaks we're dealing with, and then they turn around and talk about a pedo movie as if they're so above it. What is it with these conservatives freaking out?
It's funny, Ann, because when you talk about what we call people, I mean, I occasionally use jokey names like Slow Joe or Beijing Biden, but they're meant to communicate an idea. But I've always held to the rules when I was a reporter and left my opinion out that you could call yourself whatever you want. So I know a former senator named Bob Packwood. He wasn't Robert Packwood, but technically that was his name. There was Jimmy Carter. You could call him James Earl, but you were allowed to name yourself, and yet somehow the media has decided that if they find you objectionable, they can say extreme right-wing conservative. And I don't know too many people who describe themselves that way.
Who was killed out in your neck of the woods, out in
Yep.
Portland. I don't know anything about a group, but the name of it is something like
Patriot Prayer.
Patriot Prayer Group.
And it's a decent group. I know the guy who founded it. I don't know him well, but
I was reading this. The New York Times just immediately, as the story broke, the far-right group, and I'm looking at that thinking, I don't know what the Patriot Prayer Group is, but I promise you no one at the New York Times does.
well, they're the kind of people that get smirks from liberals because we love to sit on the sidelines and say, hey, look, the Democrat Party had another event. There wasn't an American flag in sight. Nobody said an invocation. They didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance. You know, all the things that are regular things that we're proud of. I mean,
Right.
when I go to speak to conservative groups, I know there is one phrase in the Pledge of Allegiance that the audience is going to get about 10 decibels louder on, and it's under God. And why? Because this isn't something we just have to rattle off at the beginning of everything, like a sales call. Oh yeah, I pledge allegiance to the flag. No, this is something American conservatives actually feel proud of their country. We know its flaws, but we are proud of the country. And the liberals smirk at this stuff. And that's what Patriot Prayer is. They'll show up to do an event. They'll have an invocation. They'll have a play. They may sing "God Bless America," and then they roll up their flags and go home. And they're a very straightforward group.
That's
There's nothing
hilarious
extreme about them.
That's what it is. That makes me so happy that my instinct on that was correct, that the New York Times had absolutely no idea.
No, they didn't. And now let's talk about Woodward. I will admit to you, I'm a fan of Donald Trump, but I've also told people, look, he's got his flaws. What in the world, having watched the FBI do a job on General Flynn by saying, hey, can we have a chat, and not immediately saying to yourself, if they want to chat, they're looking to, basically put me in jail by finding something in their current chat that contradicts something else I've said. So you understand when people are looking for that. Bob Woodward, as far as I'm concerned, is the civilian equivalent of the FBI. When Bob Woodward said, hey, let's have a chat, he's looking to find something that's going to sell a book.
No, and the tapes are so embarrassing, Lars. Look, everybody can settle down. I'm voting for Trump in order to vote against the media. But this is so embarrassing. He is such a status-seeking nouveau riche. Oh, he's so excited. He's a fanboy for Bob Woodward. He's on the phone. Hey, Melania, you know who I'm talking to? Bob Woodward. Oh, it's so embarrassing. And he gives Woodward, I made up a laminated copy of the letter from Kim Jong-un, but he did give Woodward a poster-sized picture of him, Trump, shaking hands with Kim Jong-un. As if Woodward, oh, wow, I can have this? I'm going to hang it up on my wall. No, it makes me angry because, as I get to in my final of the brief and simple ideas to help Trump win re-election, the left-behind Americans whom I guess he'll get to them second term, because he sure didn't get to them first term, they're doing all the work. They're carrying this guy. If he wins, it's going to be the working class in America, and he's off running his mouth with Bob Woodward. I mean, he's doing nothing for his reelection, which is why this column is so useful, I think.
Well, and I relate to it a few years ago. Penn and Teller, and they have a show that whose initials are the same as Joe Biden's and or Bernie Sanders. And my producer said, don't talk to those guys. They're going to make you look like an idiot. And I said, look, I view it as a challenge. And so I had an interview with them, and it went perfectly well. Of course, they wanted to walk me into a corner. They're not conservatives, or not that conservative. But I managed to survive it. But I went into it with all my guards up, thinking, I know what they're going to try to do, and I will do that. Trump went into it with no guards up at all, did he?
Well, also, I mean, look, I do all kinds of interviews with anyone. You and I are president of the United States seeking re-election. We're trying to get our ideas out there. Sometimes that involves going into the lion's den. That's different when, you're in a re-election year, and this is a guy is going to be writing a book to try to take you down that will come out right before the election. Absolutely right. Ann Coulter, you got to read her latest column. It is some simple suggestions. They're easy, they're doable, and they're serious about how Donald Trump can make sure he wins in November. Ann, thank you very much.